I really want a child of my own, my husband John remarked sarcastically. I couldn't hold back anymore and blurted out, "What, aren't I right here?" Throughout our marriage, John had frequently criticized me for our inability to conceive. Even now, he held my sister's baby in front of me as if to drive the point home. Huh? John looked genuinely surprised. Could he truly be feigning ignorance despite all the evidence? I wouldn't let him get away with it. I would make him see. My name is Natalie Johnson, a 25-year-old housewife, I reminded myself. All right, dinner's ready. I stirred the pot in the kitchen where a delightful aroma of spices and steam filled the air. Tasting the curry, I nodded to myself. The spice is just right, and the meat is tender. Just how he likes it. Just then, John returned home. "I'm back," he announced, and I greeted him at the door. "Welcome home. I made your favorite curry tonight." As I reached to take John's bag, ready to lead him to the dining room, he suddenly interrupted me. "Hey," his grip tightened on my shoulder. A sharp gaze bore into my back. "So, how did it go today? Was today the day?" His words made me catch my breath. My heart raced and I felt dizzy. "Answer me." I swallowed hard before responding. "It didn't work this month either. We didn't conceive." I clenched my hands tightly. John sighed heavily at my reaction. "Again? Why can't we have a child?" Making curry just to appease me. "It's so obvious." "I'm sorry, but don't make excuses. All my friends had kids right after marriage. Thinking of names, buying baby clothes. They all seem so happy. I want that too, but we've only been married for 3 months. We don't need to rush." He clicked his tongue in frustration, staring intently at my face. Then, with a sneer, he added, "Maybe you're just infertile. Why don't you go see a gynecologist?" Snatching his bag from me, he stormed off to our room. I covered my face with my hands. I too yearned for a child, to experience the miracle of new life, to cherish every moment of our child's growth. But perhaps I wasn't meant to be a parent. My parents disappeared when I was too young to remember them, leaving me and my twin sister behind. Growing up without parental love haunted me. Could someone like me ever be a good mother? It was a constant worry, but I couldn't give up. My desire for a child was genuine, and I believed that someday, God would bless us with one. I had to stay strong and wait for that day. And next month, there's the long-awaited wedding. It's a bit late, but that only makes me more excited. I encouraged myself to smile as I went to call John for dinner. Today was his birthday, and I had decorated a cake and prepared a gift, eagerly awaiting his return. The doorbell rang unexpectedly. It's rare for someone to ring the bell. I hurried to open it and found a woman as beautiful as an actress standing there, brushing her lustrous black hair off her shoulders. "Hello there," she greeted me casually. It was my fraternal twin sister, Brittany. We looked nothing alike, I thought, taken aback. "Brittany, what are you doing here?" "Oh, just thought I'd visit. But today's John's birthday. We were supposed to celebrate, just the two of us. I texted you, remember?" Brittany gasped, clasping her hands together. "Oh, sorry, I forgot. I've been feeling lonely since you got married." Since my marriage, Brittany had been dropping by unexpectedly, sometimes weekly, even every few days. Her visits often interrupted our alone time, making it hard for John and me to connect. Yet, whenever Brittany expressed loneliness, I couldn't bring myself to say anything. After all, she was my only family. "Hey, Natalie, I brought you this bag. I haven't used it much lately." Brittany handed me a paper bag. "Wow, this is from a famous brand." "It's okay, really. I usually give them to friends anyway. This time, it's for you in Italy. Take it with you when you go out for dinner with friends." "Oh, but you know I don't have many friends, unlike you. Look at this from the party I hosted recently." Brittany showed me a photo of herself with over 100 friends, all enjoying a lavish dinner. I chuckled. "Brittany, you're so popular. You're the complete opposite of me. You're amazing. You work hard, have money, and a boyfriend, right?" "Well, of course. It's pretty standard for me," Brittany replied, beaming with pride. I smiled wryly at her confident response. Suddenly, Brittany froze, looking at the table, then burst into laughter, holding her stomach. "Wait, did you make this cake yourself?" "Yeah," I admitted. "Isn't that a bit odd? Buying cakes from a store would have been better received. Making it myself is just thankless." "Poor Natalie," Brittany teased, leaning in with a smile. "But that's what's cute about you," she added with a grin. Then her expression changed, eyes sparkling. "Oh, I have some news to share. I'm home." Just then, John returned from work and we paused our conversation to welcome him. As I began cutting the cake, John and Brittany settled in to watch TV, getting excited over a show. This actress struggled to have kids until she was 40. That's so sad, John remarked. Yeah, really? Brittany agreed. They often bonded over celebrity gossip, like a real couple. Look, baby pictures, Brittany exclaimed, and my heart skipped a beat at those words. Children symbolize happiness to me. I believed it was a woman's duty to give birth. A woman who couldn't have children wasn't truly a woman. I agree, Brittany. We think alike, I replied softly, continuing to serve the curry. Right, Natalie. John teased, but Brittany suddenly covered her mouth. Oh, sorry. We're not talking about you. It's something else, she said, then smirked at me. A look I'd never seen on her before, filled with unmistakable malice. Brittany claimed she visited to see her lonely sister, and I couldn't refuse. But was that the whole truth? After the party ended and Brittany left, I received a message on my phone. I'm pregnant. Remember the news I mentioned? I'm also planning to get married. I'm sorry for finding happiness before you. My family is finally happy. I should have been overjoyed, ready to celebrate, but inside me, a dark feeling was brewing. Time flew by, and today was the long-awaited wedding day. We chose a small local church for the venue, somewhat modest to save money for a possible future with children. After dressing in my wedding gown, I enjoyed a moment of calm in the dressing room, but that peace shattered instantly. Bang! The door flew open. I'm here. Congratulations. Startled, I turned to see my sister, but an even more shocking sight awaited me. Brittany, dressed in white. What? You can't wear white to a wedding? I managed to say. Yes. Brittany twirled in her pure white dress, clasping her hands together dramatically. I tried to avoid it, but I just fell in love with this dress. Besides, she added with a sly smile, it suits me, doesn't it? This dress. She struck a pose with pride, tilting her head as if looking down on me, then scanned my dress from head to toe. Is that a handmade dress? It looks more like a frock than a wedding gown, not the fluffy kind one expects for a wedding. Yes, it's a custom design from my favorite designer, embroidered with my favorite flowers. I explained proudly. Brittany only smiled thinly. Well, good for you. Embroidery can be a bit old-fashioned, but it suits you, Natalie. It's nice, right? I forced a smile. Hey, it's time, John interrupted abruptly as he entered the dressing room. He didn't even compliment me on how I looked. I sighed deeply. The ceremony proceeded smoothly, and the reception began. Now, a few words from the family, Brittany announced, rising to the microphone. Instantly, the men in the room began murmuring admiringly, beautiful, gorgeous. I wish I could marry someone like her. Their gazes lingered on her beauty and figure, beyond her dress. Hello everyone. I'm Brittany, the sister. Brittany began. Today, there are a few empty seats, thank you all for coming. About 30% of the guests were absent from the reception, despite seats prepared for Brittany's friends. As you can see, my sister doesn't have many friends. Just about 8. She spends her holidays cooped up, eating sweets and tapping on her phone. Sad, isn't it? There was laughter from the audience. I felt the blood drain from my face. What was Brittany doing? This was supposed to be our wedding reception. But I love my sister just the way she is. John, please make her happy, Brittany concluded with an angelic smile, earning applause. I didn't want to contemplate who that applause was really for. After the reception, I confronted Brittany in the dressing room. What was that about, Brittany? Were those empty seats meant for your friends? Making it look like it was my fault? Brittany just laughed and patted my head condescendingly. Don't be upset. If you worry about such things, life will be hard, you know. My friend said it was a lovely ceremony, too. John joined in casually. Why are you so worked up? They laughed at my distress, as if it were all a joke. I stood there, unable to comprehend their absurd behavior. Soon after, my in-laws arrived. They comforted me and reprimanded John and Brittany, apologizing for their son's behavior. It eased my mind a little, but doubts about them started to gnaw at me. 10 months later, John, my in-laws, and I drove to a certain place. John seemed excited in the driver's seat. I'm really looking forward to this. Aren't you, Natalie? I remained silent, staring down. We arrived at Brittany's house. John and my in-laws gathered eagerly around the living room sofa. She's so adorable. We're so glad she was born healthy. At the center of attention was Brittany, holding her baby. She rushed over to me, beaming with the baby in her arms. Look, Natalie, isn't she cute? She looks just like me. Brittany radiated happiness, but her eyes gleamed with a hint of satisfaction, almost enjoying my reaction. Her smile twisted into a smirk. "Congratulations," I muttered, looking away. "Wow, she's adorable. Can I hold her?" I asked hesitantly. Of course, Brittany giggled, handing the baby to John, who held her with a gleam in his eyes. "Babies are so precious. Look, Natalie, they're symbols of happiness, right?" "Yes, they are," John interjected abruptly, his tone pointed. "Maybe you're just jealous of Brittany. That's why you can't get pregnant," he said, almost flaunting the baby in front of me. His words stung. In that moment, something snapped inside me. "What? Aren't I right here?" John's mouth fell open in surprise. My in-laws stared at the baby in John's arms, their expressions frozen in shock. "I know everything about John and Brittany's affair," I declared loudly, cutting through the stunned silence. John's face strained of color, and Brittany's expression twisted in disbelief. I pulled out photos from my bag and scattered them on the floor, images of John and Brittany entering a hotel together. Brittany burst into laughter. "Stop it, this is some kind of trick, right?" "Don't be foolish, Brittany. The fool here is you," I retorted. I suspected something, so I installed cameras in the house. On a day I was away, I pulled out my phone and played a video showing John and Brittany's affair in the living room. Brittany's face flushed red with anger. "What is this? Stop it right now," she yelled. Lunging at me, she snatched my phone and threw it against the wall, stomping on it until it broke. The room fell silent as I watched her coldly. "It's futile, Brittany," I said calmly, causing her to halt and look up sharply. "Futile? What do you mean?" she snapped. Then a thunderous voice filled the room. "John." My father-in-law grabbed John by the collar. "Did you betray Natalie with her own sister, you monster? And now you have a child? How will you take responsibility for this, you idiot?" Tears streamed down my mother-in-law's face as she struggled to comprehend the betrayal. John trembled under their accusations. "Wait, it's not proven that the child is mine and Brittany's. Natalie is just trying to frame me. A DNA test, huh?" John exclaimed, trying to deflect blame. "Let's go to the hospital for a DNA test to prove it." I stood firm. "A DNA test will reveal the truth about whose child it is." John stomped his foot, still trying to justify himself. "Look, Natalie can't even conceive. A woman who can't bear children isn't fit to be a wife, right? Are you out of your mind? A cheater like you isn't fit to be a husband," my father-in-law thundered. John avoided everyone's eyes, his excuses crumbling. "Say something, Brittany. Why did you do this? Betraying your own family is unforgivable," my mother-in-law pleaded, her voice trembling. Brittany shuddered, then snapped. "It's not my fault. It's Natalie's fault." She glared at me with venom. "It's all because you stole my first love." I was stunned. "What? I have no recollection of that. Ever since our parents left, I've always acted tough. But you were always weak and annoying," Brittany continued, her voice filled with bitterness. "The guy I loved first rejected me for you. I pitied you, Natalie. That's why I couldn't leave you alone." I felt a wave of disbelief and anger. "So you wanted me to suffer? Is that why you did all this? Made me feel lonely and inferior?" "I wanted you to realize your place," Brittany sneered. "To know that you're beneath me. Betrayed by your husband, hated by your sister. You're the most pitiful woman in the world." Brittany laughed triumphantly, but all I felt was a deep sense of emptiness. "So, I'm pitiful. I see, that's what you think, Brittany," I said calmly, fully understanding her intentions. She looked stunned, expecting a different reaction. "But none of that matters to me anymore. Now, I just despise you. I once loved you so deeply, and you manipulated me all along. It's despicable. So, I've decided to repay the favor. Everything you've done to me." I mocked her laugh, and Brittany recoiled as if I were a monster. Was my face that terrifying? "Stay tuned, both of you," I added before leaving the house alone. Months passed since then. John handed me divorce papers and left, likely to my sister Brittany's place. Today, I find myself at a wedding in a grand New York church, wearing a thick, long cardigan over my dress, ensuring it's completely concealed. The venue is packed with over 100 guests. I can barely see the bride and groom. They probably can't see me either. As the couple enters, applause erupts. The minister begins. "Do you, John, take Brittany to be your wife through good and bad, rich and poor, sickness and health? It's my sister Brittany and John's wedding." I learned about their wedding the month after the chaos unfolded. Brittany had announced her shotgun wedding with Jayan on social media, detailing the plans. They must have been preparing for a while, perhaps even before my own wedding. That explains why Brittany didn't invite her friends to my wedding. She said she'd create a group chat and confirm attendees herself to ease my burden during the busy wedding preparations. I thought at the time. Now, I realize she never created that group chat. She lied about everyone attending. No one was invited to mine, so no one came. Looking back, it seems John only invited casual acquaintances. I never met his close friends before or after our marriage. Whether John was already involved with Brittany before marrying me, or it was unfortunate timing, I'll never know. But one thing is clear, they want this to be their only wedding. They want to erase all memory of their time with me, and I can't forgive that. All the time I loved John, all that effort I put into our relationship, for them to destroy my life for their own happiness is unforgivable. I reaffirmed my determination for revenge. After the ceremony, the reception began, a staging party due to the bustling crowd. I remained hidden in a corner. Here's a special video message from the groom's parents who couldn't be here today, the staff announced proudly. John and Brittany's eyes widened in surprise as the screen lit up with John's parents smiling, though their gaze was sharp. It's finally beginning, I thought, watching the screen with a subtle smirk. John, Brittany, congratulations on your wedding. Congratulations, the couple in the video smiled at each other. Thank you all for coming today. As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to offer you a gift. Murmurs of excitement rose from the crowd. What's going on? John's mother interjected, her voice cutting through the tension. This is not just a gift, it's a message. Go ahead. Allow me. John's father's previously relaxed demeanor turned stern. There stands the bride. But she's not just any bride. She's John's mistress, and not just any mistress, but his own wife's sister. Do you understand what we're saying? These two are not just newlyweds. They're immoral cheaters. We cannot accept this marriage, and we're cutting ties with them. Stop the video. John screamed as the footage abruptly halted, but the damage was done. The guests were stunned by the revelation. John stood up, trying to laugh it off. Everyone, that was just a joke by my parents. A bit too much, right? The guests murmured in confusion, some echoing his attempt to dismiss the seriousness of the situation. Brittany grabbed the microphone, attempting to explain, but I seized it from her. It's true, I declared with a single word, then shed the cardigan I wore, revealing the white dress I had worn a year ago when I married John. Remember this, John? John's face drained of color as he stared at me, frozen in place. Taking advantage of the moment, I retrieved something from an envelope and scattered its contents across the venue, photos documenting John and Brittany's affair. These photos mark the end of my marriage with John, I announced, scanning the chaotic scene. I did it. I finally did it. Afterward, everything blurred, and I collapsed in a daze. Suddenly, someone grabbed me roughly by the collar. Looking up, I met Brittany's shocked gaze. Why are you here? I didn't invite you. I never told you the time or place. I couldn't help but laugh at her panic. What are you talking about, Brittany? You announced it all on social media, didn't you? Your wedding details, the venue, you practically handed me the invitation. Your posts became my clues. I found everything online. Social media is quite something, isn't it? Why did they let you in then? Your name wasn't on the guest list. Brittany demanded, her voice trembling. Because I'm your sister. One of your friends recognized me at the reception and let me in. They wouldn't turn away the bride's own sister, would they? You orchestrated the video too. You brought those photos as a surprise, keeping it all a secret from me. I didn't invite John's parents. They came to my house, apologized, and said they couldn't accept your marriage. We planned this together. I pointed around at the emptying venue with a bitter laugh. Look, everyone's leaving. As Brittany watched her friends depart, her face paled. Wait, come back, she called out weakly, but they turned away collectively. Those photos might be fake, but we don't want to be associated with someone who could have cheated, one of them explained coldly. Friends, huh? Funny how our friendship revolved around branded gifts. We were friends because of what you could provide for us, for the photos to flaunt to others. That's right, I said, hitting the nail on the head. Brittany clenched her jaw in frustration. Goodbye, Brittany. With that, I left her sitting alone on the floor, John holding his head in disbelief, and myself oddly composed. A few days after Brittany's wedding, I was at home trying to relax, knowing this peace was fleeting. The doorbell rang, I checked the peephole and opened the door. Before I could react, John lunged at me, his anger palpable. I hit the wall and slid to the floor, but I remained composed. You two never learn, but I'm glad you came, I said icily. Brittany crossed her arms and looked down at me defiantly. John, check your email. There's something important there, I stated calmly. Just before they arrived, I had sent an email with attachments, photos and videos. You're at it again. John reluctantly checked his phone, his expression growing more furious. He turned to Brittany, thrusting the phone towards her. Brittany, who's this older man? The photos showed Brittany in revealing attire, holding hands with several older men. The video captured her entering and leaving hotels with them, exchanging money. Is this sugar dating, Brittany? I stated matter-of-factly. Brittany seethed. I turned to Jan, who was hanging his head. Hey John, did you ever do a paternity test? Remember I mentioned a DNA test would prove if the child is really yours and Brittany's. No need for that. John gasped, the weight of the situation hitting him. John, I said firmly, whose child is it? In that moment, John gripped Brittany's hand tightly, staring at her intently. Brittany, did you betray me? After everything, even the child? What are you talking about? The child is yours. How can you doubt me? I can't trust a woman who secretly engages in sugar dating, John retorted sharply. Fine, if you trust Natalie more than me, then agree to a DNA test. We'll go to the hospital tomorrow, Brittany insisted, clinging to John's hand, hoping for his belief. John hesitated, frustration evident. Well, Brittany, he faltered, shaking his head. Her reaction spoke volumes. John stormed out angrily, venting his frustration on furniture and appliances. Brittany, left behind by John's outbursts, sank to the floor, defeated. Brittany, I looked down at her, a taunting edge in my voice. How does it feel now? Brittany twitched at my words. When the test comes out, John will leave you, and now you have no friends left. She glared back at me defiantly. I have friends. Not everyone have abandoned me. So where are those messages then? I pressed. Brittany hesitated, clearly caught off guard. Right after the wedding, did anyone check in on you, show concern, offer support? Brittany avoided my gaze. I received messages after you discredited me in your speech and after my divorce from John, I continued. Sure, I may only have 8 friends, but each one of them reached out. Brittany, you have so many more friends than me, yet none of them were there for you when it mattered. I could hear Brittany grinding her teeth in frustration. John has left you, and now you're left with no friends, Brittany. That's the truth, I said firmly. Me, pitiful. You're delusional. I'm beautiful, I have a great figure, and men shower me with gifts because I deserve it. Brittany shot back angrily. You're the one who's pitiful, with nothing to show for yourself. I remained stoic in the face of her outburst. Sure, keep telling yourself that, Brittany, I replied calmly, but let me make one thing clear. You're not better than me, not then, not now, not ever. What? That's absurd. You used to envy me, thought I had it all. Brittany retorted. I said those things to appease you because we're family, I explained evenly. I didn't want to show indifference when you were proud. It was flattery, Brittany. You took it too seriously. What? But I loved you. We were family, and I didn't want to lose you, so I was kind, Brittany shouted, her voice trembling. Don't lie to yourself. Your jealousy over my ability to have children drove you to betray me, I replied with a sigh. I'm done letting that define me. With John, I thought having children was everything, but life is more than that. People live in different ways, and I'm choosing to move forward without that burden. Brittany began to tremble violently. I helped her out of the house as she couldn't move on her own. Goodbye, Brittany. I closed the door with a resolute thud. After that day, Brittany and John divorced. The DNA test revealed the child wasn't John's, and news of their affair spread like wildfire, tarnishing their reputations among the 100 guests at their ill-fated wedding. Both lost their jobs and struggled to find new ones, now barely making ends meet with odd jobs. Meanwhile, I moved away, eager to start afresh in a place free from Brittany and John's toxic influence. I was determined to leave the past behind and rebuild my life. I'm visiting a friend today. She just had a baby, I explained, ringing the doorbell with a gift in hand. My friend greeted me at the door, her face glowing with joy. Thank you so much. Come on in, she exclaimed, genuinely grateful for the gift.